everyone, this is Mr. Vanderpool, and today we're going to be doing our first reading questions. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we do reading questions, and then we're going to go ahead and answer these 4 questions. So what we're basically going to be doing is we're going to be reading section 1.2. It's about scarcity and choice. It's from page 8 to page 10. And as we read this section, we're going to be going over these 4 questions together. So you're going to answer these 4 questions on a separate sheet of paper. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to check those at the beginning of the period tomorrow, and then we'll have some more questions that we're going to do below this set of questions. Okay? So we'll have these reading questions, and then we'll have some in-class work that we are doing as well. All right, so now I want to go over how we're going to set up our paper as we do reading questions. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and put name, date, period on the upper right-hand corner of your paper. Then you're going to go ahead and title your paper. And in this case, you're going to go ahead and title it Section 1.2 Scarcity and Choice Reading Questions. Then we're going to go ahead and read Section 1.2. And we're going to go ahead and answer all 4 questions. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for the number. And then you have to write out the question. And then below that, you go ahead and you answer the question. Okay? So quick review. Name, date, period, upper right-hand corner. Title it Section 1.2 Scarcity and Choice Reading Questions. Then go ahead and put the number, write out the question, and give the answer for questions number 1 through 4 as we go over section 1.2. All right, so be sure as we answer these 4 questions that you go ahead and give me complete answers, you complete sentences, use academic vocabulary, do all that good stuff so I can give you full credit. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look at these 4 questions. And right now you should be on page 8. Okay, if you haven't turned to page 8, go ahead and do that right now. And I'm going to talk about a concept called opportunity cost. So the opportunity cost of something is the most important thing you gave up when you decided to do something. So let me give you a real life example. When I was about maybe 19, 20 years old, I decided to whitewater raft down the Colorado River. Totally fun, but it created a scenario in which I definitely figured out opportunity cost very fast. So I decided, I don't know why I decided to do this, but I decided when I went whitewater rafting, I'm going to go ahead and bring my keys, I'm going to bring my wallet with me as I go whitewater rafting. So I'm going whitewater rafting and I hit a swell, and as I hit a swell and my raft landed, sure enough, as my raft landed, I lost my keys and I lost my wallet in the river. Now, there was only enough time to pick up one of the 2, so I had to decide which one to pick up. I now faced what's called a trade-off, which is basically a fancy economic word for a choice. Was I going to pick up the wallet, or was I going to pick up the keys? Ultimately, I decided that I was going to pick up the wallet. Now, the opportunity cost is the most valuable thing that I gave up, in this case when I decided to pick up the wallet. So the opportunity cost of picking up the wallet was the keys. Now, if I decided to pick up the keys, the opportunity cost, the most valuable thing I gave up when I decided to pick up the keys, was the wallet. So notice with opportunity cost, there is one cost. It's not opportunity costs. There is one opportunity cost. What is the most valuable thing that you gave up when you did something? That is opportunity cost. So what I want you to do for number 1 really quick here is describe the opportunity cost of you coming to school today. So you went to school today, and you gave something up when you decided to do it. So what was that most valuable thing that you gave up? That is the opportunity cost. So take a second on your piece of paper, and then go ahead and describe the opportunity cost of you coming to school today. All right, so let's move on to question number 2 here. It says, why is scarcity the main problem in economics? If you look at page 8, you'll see where it says scarcity in red, and there's a paragraph right below that. The last sentence of that paragraph gives you the answer to that question. So it says scarcity is the most basic problem of economics because it forces people to make decisions about how to use resources effectively. So basically there's a scarce amount of resources out there. How you are going to distribute those resources and how you're going to use those resources is the most basic problem of economics. The most basic problem of economics is scarcity, the fact that we can't all get everything that we want. All right, now moving on to number 3. There are 3 basic economic questions that every single society has to answer. And you can look at those on page 9. They are in blue. Every society must figure out what to produce, what are they going to produce, how are they going to produce it, and then they're going to have to figure out for whom to produce. Who is going to get those goods that are produced. All right, now we're still on page 9 here, and I want to talk about productivity versus efficiency. Now, if you look on page 9, let's start off by looking at the definition of productivity. So productivity is the level of output that results from a given level of input. So with productivity, you have a fixed level of input, and who can create the most outputs is going to be the most productive. Now, if you look on page 10, you can see efficiency, and that's in bold there at the top of page 10. And the book describes it as which is the use of the smallest amount of resources to produce the greatest amount of output. So with efficiency, you have a fixed level of output, and whoever needs the least inputs is going to be the most efficient. So let me give you some real life scenarios there to kind of clean that up in your head. So let's look at the car market. Let's say we're comparing Ford and Mazda. Let's say both Ford and Mazda have 1,000 employees. Those are their inputs. They have 1,000 employees. Now, with those 1,000 employees, Ford can create 500 cars, and Mazda can create 600 cars. Who would be the most productive? Okay, Ford has an output of 500. Mazda has an output of 600. Obviously, 600 is greater than 500. So the most productive of those two car companies, in this case, would be Mazda, because it can create the most output, the most cars, with the same amount of input. Now, let's go ahead and look at efficiency. Let's stay on the car market. Let's look at GM versus Toyota. Let's say that they can each create 1,000 cars. That is their output. Now, let's say GM, to create 1,000 cars, they need 400 employees. And let's say Toyota needs 500 employees. The question is then, who is the most efficient? Because GM needs less employees, 400 versus Toyota's 500, they are more efficient. It takes less inputs for them to make the same amount of output. Okay? GM, their output was 1,000 cars, but their inputs were only 400 employees versus Toyota's 500. All right, so the big thing to know here is that with productivity, you have a fixed level of input, and who can create more, who has the higher output. With efficiency, you have a fixed level of output, and who needs the least inputs is going to be more efficient. All right, so I am going to be checking these answers tomorrow. So I will see you then, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye.